Добра вечер, почитувани гледачи. Јас сум Драган Милосављевиќ, а вие следите емисијата Заспиј ако можеш. Вечерва во малку поинакво светло. Имено се наоѓаме во еден скопски хотел, каде што престојува во официјална посета на Македонија министерот за европски прашања на Република Унгарија, господинот Јанош Бока. Ке поразговараме за прашања кои што се од, да речеме, заеднички интерес за двете земји, за пријателството меѓу двата народи и за соработката која што следи во иднина. Меѓутоа се разбира ќе позборуваме и за околностите во кои што се наоѓа Европската унија сама по себе, релациите со Соединените американски држави, со Кина и така натаму. Well, in my childhood, one of my favorite books was Paul Street Boys by Ferenc Molnar. And the main hero in that book was the boy with name János Boka. Now I'm sitting across with man, Your Excellency, Minister of European Affairs of Hungary, with exactly the same name, János Boka.
Well, I get that a lot. When I was an elementary school student, they always mocked me that I was the hero depicted in this book. The name is not exactly the same, but it's close enough. And of course, he was my main character from the book, the one that I liked the most, and I can relate to being serious, being a leader, being a friend of all the boys in the book. He was my favorite character, and when I was a child, I always wanted to be like him.
Well, I hope you succeed in that. So, Minister, I would like to ask some different topics, but let's start with the relations between European Union and United States of America in last period when the tax war started, in fact. Because in the past few weeks we saw some kind of tax war. I don't know different word to say. War in which European Union as its whole is in some kind of trouble.
Well, it's indeed we can say that now there is something that is very similar to a tariff war between the European Union and the United States is ongoing. I would like to put this in a broader perspective. I think that what is happening now is not really a surprise. President Trump in his election campaign made it perfectly clear that he wants to rebalance the trade and economic relations between the United States and the rest of the world. And he signaled already from the very beginning that he will use tariffs as a way to convince other global players to engage with the United States in discussing the rebalancing the trade and economic relations. Now, a lot of people were surprised that he actually did what he promised. It didn't come as a surprise to me. President Trump is known for delivering on his promises, so I think we should take him seriously. So basically, he's now doing what he promised to do in the election campaign, and the European Union and the member states had ample time to prepare for that. Now, how this will play out at the end of the day, it's difficult to say. I think the European Union as a bloc and the member states individually had as the foundation of their prosperity an open and rules-based international economic order, including trade relations. So I think that the escalation of this tariff war or trade war is not in the interest of the European Union. I think we should work to de-escalate this tension. We should engage constructively the United States of America. I think that a balanced and mutually beneficial trade and economic relationship between the European Union and the United States is possible. What we need is strategic patience. There is no need to retaliate right away. The European Union will be worse off if there is always a tit for tat. We should try to find a common platform with the US administration. I think it is possible.
Hungary had, let's say, special relations with the United States. in the meaning of that President Viktor Orban is very good friend with Donald Trump.
Well, here I would be extremely cautious. The US administration and the Hungarian government is very close when it comes to basic political issues. We are allies in many aspects. We see the word, we see the role of nations, we see a conservative approach to societies, attachment to traditional values very similarly. And we are opposed to the so-called woke phenomenon equally. So when it comes to that, of course, there is a political proximity between the administrations. We hope that this political proximity will give a new start to bilateral relations, so we can build on this understanding in order to improve the economic and political relations between the countries. But the Hungarian government has no intention to play the role of a mediator between the European Union and the United States. We have no such ambitions. What we want to do is to build on this political proximity and restart bilateral relations, and I'm confident that we will see results to this effect very soon.
Mm-hmm. Well, Hungary is a small state in comparison with, for example, France or Germany or Great Britain. But nevertheless, Hungary plays a significant role in European relations.
Well, there's a lot of talk about Hungary, the Hungarian government and the Hungarian Prime Minister in the European Union and globally as well. And probably the size and the economic, political or military strength of the country would not necessarily justify this kind of attention that Hungary receives. But as I see, the Hungarian Prime Minister and the Hungarian government has a vision, it has political strength, it exercises leadership, and it can become one pole of thinking about the future of the European Union. We have a very strong, we have a very characteristic EU policy. We have a vision how the European Union should look like, how the relationship between the European Union and the member states should look like, how the European Union could actually contribute to the security and prosperity of Europeans and the member states, and we are very vocal about this. We can be because we have a very clear vision. We have the support of our political community in Hungary and also in Europe. This gives us the strength to participate in a strong and uncompromising way in the discussion about the future of Europe. This is why we are so visible.
But on the other hand, you have a lot of opposition around Europe in that kind of policy.
Yes, these discussions are sometimes polarizing. Of course, if you want to change, and our position is that the European Union, in order to remain relevant globally, needs to change. And change requires alternatives. And we are presenting one alternative. Of course, it creates discussion. In some cases, it is controversial. But without conflicts and without controversies, there will be no real change. And since our political community is quite strong, the support of our political community is great. I would say that we are perfectly placed. We are in a good position to take on these controversies, to take on these conflicts, because this is the way things will move forward at the end of the day.
So you're not afraid by the rumors that in some way Hungary may be excluded from the European Union or, for example, excluded from voting on something like that?
Well, of course, we are not worried, because this is part of the political conflict. I think that, however, this approach that if you have a different point of view, if you have another perspective, you don't agree with the majority or you don't agree with the mainstream, you can be isolated or you can be excluded. It's a very good indication what is wrong with the European Union. The European Union's motto is that the EU is united in diversity, which means that we cooperate in the spirit of sincere cooperation. We are loyal members of the European Union, but at the same time, we don't have to agree on everything, and we don't have to become the same. We don't have to become identical. And if in the European Union there is a discussion on fundamental issues, I think it's a very bad strategy to try to exclude or to try to put something behind the sanitary cordon, because then you are also excluding, you are also neglecting those Europeans who support their ideas, support their position. Hungary and the patriots in Europe, we are not simply representing ourselves as individuals. We are representing over 1/3 of Europeans. If they want to exclude or isolate us, they want to exclude or isolate 1/3 of the Europeans. It is very bad for the credibility and legitimacy of the European project, and I think that this should be changed.
One more question about these controversies. Mr. Orban tried to make some sort of a peace deal between Russia and Ukraine, and that didn't go well, especially on the west side of the Europe.
Yes, I think I think this was total hypocrisy on the side of the member states who criticized Prime Minister Orban for this. What he did was simple. He said that the war between Russia and Ukraine will not be solved on the battlefield. There is no battlefield solution for this conflict. This conflict can go on for years without military solutions. Hundreds of thousands of people will die, millions will be displaced, and the economy of the European Union will be in ruins. This must stop. The only way to stop fighting is to stop fighting. And for this, you need a ceasefire and you need meaningful negotiations in order to achieve a sustainable solution to the conflict. And for this, you need to approach all parties in the conflict, and you need to approach all global players. And you need to do this directly, and you need to do this based on your own strategic interests as a European Union. This is what he tried to do. And now what we are seeing that President Trump, as he promised, has reached out to all parties, tries to negotiate a ceasefire that could be the basis of negotiations on sustainable peace, and he does it based on the interests of the United States. I think that the European Union should have done the same thing months or years ago, and we would be now in a better position to enforce and implement our strategic interests.
Something strange is happening in this area of the Europe. A few months ago, Croatia, Albania, and Kosovo make some deal which is close to military alliance. Now we have listened that Hungary and Serbia are doing sort of alliance. Why? I mean, Hungary is in NATO, Croatia is in NATO, Albania is in NATO. Why do we need this kind of local alliances?
Well, I think as far as the Hungarian intention goes, Hungary is interested in the peace, security, and the stability in the region. We believe that the future of the region is in the European Union. And we believe that the European accession process will reinforce the security and the stability of the region, which in turn might accelerate the European integration process of the region. So this is a mutually reinforcing cycle between stability and European integration. Hungary is ready to work with all partners and the countries in the region to reinforce the security. And we believe that security and defense cooperation should not be overly politicized, because peace and security is a common good for the region as a whole. And the security and stability of the region as a whole can only be guaranteed with the cooperation and understanding with all players. This is what the Hungarian government is trying to do, including with North Macedonia.
Well, Macedonia and Hungary are, let's say, the best relations ever in history. I mean, now in Macedonia, everybody will say Hungary is a very good friend of ours. How did that become real, normal. I mean, we never have any issues with Hungary, of course, because we are not in the border. But again, this, let's say, state of relations is not usual. I mean, we have really good relations. Of course, it's okay, but I'm asking how that happened.
Well, I think it's also a question of vision and leadership. The relationship between North Macedonia and Hungary can be described as a deep strategic partnership based on common interests. The Hungarian government has realized that the stability and security of the Western Balkans is indispensable for the strategic interests of Hungary, and we started cooperating with North Macedonia in certain areas, including migration, for example. We realized that if we have a good cooperation with North Macedonia in the area of migration, so we work together to stop illegal migration and try to diffuse the migration crisis. This contributes to the security of Hungary, and it's better if we do this on the Balkans than we do this on the borders of the European Union or the borders of Hungary. And of course, we see a lot of economic potential in the region as a whole. There's a lot of potential for innovation, for growth, market opportunities for Macedonian companies in Hungary, Hungarian companies in Macedonia. This is always based on the principle of mutual interest. It's built on the principle of trust and cooperation. It's a win-win situation. Now, if there is this strategic understanding, then you have to put the commitment and you have to put the resources behind these initiatives, and you have to work this day by day, year by year. And I think that now it's bearing fruits. We have seen the joint government cabinet meetings in Ohrid and also in Budapest recently. So I think that the relations are at the peak, but I think that we can still improve it from here. This is one of the reasons why I'm here.
So you believe that this almost strategic relations between Macedonia and Hungary will last for a long time?
Well, I believe that we are building something that goes over government and goes over generations. I think that if the political, historical, and personal foundations are there, this will be a lasting achievement.
Hungary is a very strong supporter of EU integration of Macedonia. Nevertheless, we have blockades for many years. Firstly from Greece, now from Bulgaria. And as I know, you're trying to help in this misunderstanding. Is it possible to make advantage in this process with the help, with support of Hungary?
Well, it's a tricky question. The decisions in the enlargement process require unanimity. If unanimity is not there, then we need to find legal, technical, or political solutions to somehow break the deadlock. The Hungarian government and the Prime Minister personally indicated if there is any added value in his mediation or his good services, then he is at the disposal of the parties to solve the bilateral issues. We'll see whether the countries involved will take advantage of this. But on a more general level, what I would like to say is that if I look at the accession process, both from a geopolitical perspective or from a technical perspective, I believe that the accession process of the Western Balkans should be accelerated. This is the geopolitical interest of the European Union, and I think if I look at the preparedness of the candidate countries, especially that of North Macedonia, then I think that North Macedonia should be a lot further already. And I think that it's against the self-interest of the European Union that this accession process of the Western Balkans is so slow. We promised a European perspective to the Western Balkans more than 20 years ago. North Macedonia is a candidate country since 2005. I think it is high time to move the process forward. Otherwise, the whole accession process will lose credibility. And if the European Union and the accession process loses credibility in the region, it will be very difficult to restore.
We see in the last months very fast approaching of Ukraine toward the EU. Now it's strange for us because Ukraine is in war. They have soldiers of other country on their land, and on the other side, it looks like they are taking more support from Western Europe for this membership in EU than we on the Western Balkans who are in peace, and we are really trying to do something about it, about our accession in the European Union.
Well, I think that this is a very strange and unpleasant situation indeed. First of all, about the enlargement process in general, it seems that with the application of Ukraine, a totally different approach to the accession process has begun. Now the accession process is seen by some member states as a geopolitical exercise. It's not really an objective and merit-based process. It has higher and bigger considerations in the background. But I would say if this is indeed the case, I think that these geopolitical considerations are equally important for the Western Balkans as well. So we can, of course, we can look at the Western Balkans accession process as a geopolitical issue, but then again, it should be accelerated. If I look at the timelines, I mean, Ukraine applied for membership in the beginning of 2022. It received candidate status already in 2022, and the formal accession negotiations started already in 2024. If I look at the timeline for North Macedonia, this is completely different, and I cannot explain such a huge.
Nobody can't explain. That's the problem.
Nobody can explain this difference. With Ukraine, as you know, there is an ongoing discussion in Hungary whether the membership of Ukraine in the European Union would benefit the EU as a whole. And the Hungarian government has initiated a public non-binding referendum whether Ukraine should be a member state of the European Union or not. We will have the results of this referendum by June. And now in Hungary there is an open discussion whether the membership of Ukraine would contribute to European security or not, whether the membership of Ukraine would be acceptable for the European institutions' current setup, whether this would require change in the big EU policies, including the agricultural policy or cohesion. And then, based on the outcome of this referendum, the Hungarian government will determine its position towards the accession process of Ukraine in the future.
We are talking about Ukraine. Let's be honest, many in Europe are afraid that the war in Ukraine is just the start, and that sooner or later Russia will maybe attack other countries from European Union and from NATO. It seems like in Hungary you don't have such a worries like that.
What we think in Hungary is that the war between Russia and Ukraine showed that there is a need for a completely new European security architecture. I think that everybody in Europe agrees that the old ways to guarantee peace and security on the continent failed because we have an open war just in a neighborhood. So we will have to find a new system that works. Now, since there have been direct contacts with between President Trump and President Putin, we see that these discussions also center around the new security architecture. And in this new security architecture, there will be a role played by Russia, and there will be a role played by the European Union, and there will be probably a role played by the United States as well. I believe that the security and peace on the continent can be guaranteed by two things. One, we create a new security architecture that includes all the relevant players, including Russia, and by developing our own security capabilities so that Europe can play a more determining role in its own security. So Europe needs to contribute more to its own security. It needs to have the resources, it needs to have the defense base, it needs to have the defense industrial base. And this, together with the new European security architecture, can guarantee the peace on the continent.
I saw the program of the new German government, and in that program they say that they support the enlargement of the European Union with new states, of course, between them and the states of Western Balkan, and they say that will go step by step, and every country will be for itself. Now, when we're talking about step by step, is it possible for Macedonia or for Western Balkan states to enter in the Schengen zone before the becoming member of the European Union? Because it's a very important question.
I see that there is now a discussion in the European Union and also with the Western Balkans countries about something that we call gradual integration. Gradual integration means that since the accession process to the European Union is so long and so slow, maybe in some areas there is an added value of including the Western Balkan countries in certain cooperation formats, in certain policies, in certain projects or programs, pending full membership. So that candidate countries can already see the value, some of the added value or benefits of membership without being actually members of the European Union, in order to maintain the momentum behind the accession process and to maintain political ownership and political commitment. I think it's a good idea if it's not a replacement to the accession process, but it creates additional political ownership and political support and political trust in the process. Now I think that now the Schengen area legislation, the so-called Schengen acquis, is included in the EU acquis, but this has not always been the case. And there are members in the Schengen area that are not members of the European Union. So legally and theoretically speaking, it should be possible for candidate countries that are not member states of the European Union to at least explore the possibility of being admitted to the Schengen zone. This is something that is definitely worth discovering. It should be discussed, and if there is a political consensus behind this, the legal ways and means should be created. I think it's a good idea. I think it would be a huge benefit to the EU and to the region. It would also inspire countries in the Western Balkans to continue working with the European Union in the accession process if this opportunity would be offered to them.
Couple of months ago, finished the Hungarian presidency with the European Union. Are you satisfied with this presidency?
I think that the Hungarian presidency was successful. I can go even further. I don't like using big words, but in some aspects it was historical. It was during a transitional period. It was during the period of multiple crises, but the Hungarian presidency managed a smooth institutional transition. It managed to put strategic issues on the table that define not only the 6 months during which Hungary was the presidency of the Council of the European Union, but also for the whole institutional cycle, strategic issues, including competitiveness, including the future of big policies, including migration, security and defense cooperation, and so on. And in some areas, we delivered tangible results. We adopted the so-called Budapest Declaration on enhancing the competitiveness of the European Union that set the path for the next 5 years. We managed the full Schengen membership of Romania and Bulgaria that has been pending for more than 10 years. It's one of the few tangible steps of furthering integration in the region. We quick started the Western Balkans accession process after 2 years of deep freeze. Before the Hungarian presidency, for 2 years, there were no chapters opened or closed with Western Balkan candidate countries. During the Hungarian presidency, we organized 3 IGCs. The last time the European Union had the 3 enlargement IGCs was in 2017. Also, this is a historic achievement, and I hope that the benefits of this new movement or new dynamism in the accession process in the Western Balkans will be continued under the future presidencies as well.
Did Macedonia use the Hungarian presidency with you, with EU? We even sent a special envoy, Mr. Ivica Boteski, there.
Yes, I think the cooperation between the presidency and North Macedonia was great. I believe that North Macedonia benefited hugely from this period. We focused on those areas, on those issues that were politically feasible. So we didn't try to do the impossible, we tried to do what is possible. And in this period, there was a lot of progress when it comes to North Macedonia's membership in the single euro payment area that will benefit all individuals and companies alike. We worked with North Macedonia and the Commission on the so-called reform plan that helped North Macedonia to access EU funds in the range for a multi-year period in the range of 750 million euros. And as I understand, last month North Macedonia received the first advance payment in this program that allows to finance governmental projects in the country. So I believe that yes, we made a lot of progress. We organized meetings where North Macedonian officials could participate in the activities of EU institutions. For example, I, as the Minister of EU Affairs, chaired a meeting of the General Affairs Council where representatives of North Macedonia were there, and they explained their activities related to fostering rule of law and democracy in the country. This was the first time that representatives of candidate countries were invited to a formal meeting of a council meeting and participated in a formal agenda item. I invited the Prime Minister's EU advisors from the region to Hungary to discuss EU-related affairs, not only enlargement but also beyond. We had an EU Western Balkan Summit in Brussels in December, so I think that North Macedonia and the region hugely benefited from the Hungarian presidency, and of course we are ready to work together with North Macedonia and the region in general also after the presidency.
So last question for tonight, do you really believe in bright future of European Union within Western Balkans in it?
I think that the European Union has only a future if the Western Balkans is within the European Union. The European Union needs the Western Balkans at least as much as the Western Balkans needs the European Union. I think it would be a strategic mistake on behalf of the European Union to neglect the region. I think the European Union would hugely benefit from the membership of North Macedonia and the region in general, and I think it is in the best interest of the European Union to accelerate the accession process. If there is a future for the European Union, then this future is with the Western Balkans in the European Union.
Јанош Бока, Minister of European Affairs in Hungarian government, thank you for this conversation.
Thank you for the invitation.
Да, почитувани гледачи, тоа беше разговорот со унгарскиот министер за европски прашања Јанош Бока. Еве гледате како изгледа подготвен министер кој има одговор на сите прашања, дали ви се допаднали или не, тоа е друга работа, меѓутоа секој оценува самиот за себе. Ова беше се за вечерва, а јас ви посакувам пријатна ноќ.